Tonight, Monday Night Raw emanates once again from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, inside the WWE Thunderdome. It's night 2 of the WWE draft. Of course, night 1 was Friday night on SmackDown on Fox, and there was a lot of news coming out of night 1 of the WWE draft. There were some very predictable picks, and such as the brands Raw and SmackDown retaining their world champions. A lot of that was expected, but we did see some surprising picks, especially when it comes to tag teams. Now, if you haven't seen the results of night 1 of the WWE draft, we'll read them out now. So Friday night on SmackDown, we had 4 rounds on SmackDown, and we had a 5th round that was announced on Talking Smack. Now, obviously, if a superstar was in the draft pool for Friday and wasn't drafted, they're now a free agent. So expect to see some names cropping up on Raw and SmackDown in the coming weeks as they've signed, in quotation marks, for the brand. So round 1, Raw drafted the WWE Champion Drew McIntyre, so they retained Drew McIntyre, no surprise there. SmackDown drafted Universal Champion Roman Reigns, again, no surprise there. I don't think anyone expected the championships to swap brands or anything like that. Raw then drafted the Raw Women's Champion, Asuka, no surprise there. Then SmackDown drafted Seth Rollins, which I think everyone universally was very, very happy to see because they thought it was the end of the Seth Rollins-Rey Mysterio feud, but then just wait because it's the hope that kills you. It's the hope that kills you when it comes to these kind of things in WWE. So SmackDown drafted Seth Rollins from Monday Night Raw, so everyone was very excited to see that. Raw then drafted the Hurt Business, so that's the United States Champion Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, and MVP, so they stay on Monday Night Raw. Round 2 saw Raw draft AJ Styles from Friday Night SmackDown. Again, not a surprising one. I think everyone kind of saw that coming. AJ Styles requested to be transferred over to SmackDown to get away from Paul Heyman originally, and then Paul Heyman was fired as the executive director of Monday Night Raw. Then, of course, Paul Heyman moved to SmackDown. He's now the manager of Roman Reigns, and he appears on SmackDown every week. So AJ Styles was like, man, I can't get rid of this guy. But also on top of that, AJ Styles openly spoke about missing his son's college football games or his high school football games, whatever it is. I'm not an American football expert, I must say, unfortunately. But he was missing those games, and the schedule for being on Raw actually benefited him more. So he wanted to go back to Monday Night Raw. So it was almost an open secret that AJ Styles was going to be moving back to Monday Night Raw in this draft, so that was no surprise. Next, SmackDown picked Sasha Banks, so she stays on SmackDown. Raw then picked Naomi, which is an incredibly exciting pick. We actually did a video here today on the channel talking about Naomi's future on Monday Night Raw, so if you haven't already, be sure to check that out, speculating that maybe Naomi could be going to the Hurt Business and becoming the first female member of the Hurt Business. So we go into that in a lot more detail, so be sure to check that out on the channel. Next, SmackDown picked Bianca Bel-Air, so she's drafted from Raw to Friday Night SmackDown. Really excited about this pick. Bianca Belair is such a talent. You look at her work in NXT, it's fantastic. Since she's been called up to the main roster, she's done a whole lot of nothing, to be honest, and that's not a diss towards her, it's a diss towards the creative involving her. She's done absolutely nothing. She's involved with the Street Profits a bit, but apart from that, she sat on the sidelines, and they've been recently doing these vignettes about her, about being the EST of WWE, but the smartest, the fastest, all of this kind of stuff. And that's fine to reintroduce her, but why did you call her up in the first place? I have no idea. But the SmackDown Women's Division needs body, so very happy with that choice. And hopefully, SmackDown is the bigger brand. So hopefully her being on that stage will benefit her massively. Raw then select the Women's Tag Team Champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, so they stay on Monday nights. Round 3, we saw Raw draft Ricochet, so he stays on Monday Night Raw. SmackDown drafted Jey Uso, so he stays on Raw. SmackDown drafted Jey Uso, so he stays on SmackDown. Easy for me to say. Raw then drafted Mandy Rose, so she stays on Raw. SmackDown then drafted Dominic and Rey Mysterio, so they move from Monday Night Raw to Friday Night SmackDown, and everyone went, oh my god. The Seth Rollins versus Mysterio storyline is going to continue, because it is. If they're all on the same brand, it's absolutely going to continue, which is a shame because it really needs to end. It's tired, it's done, there's no more story to tell there, yet WWE insists on trying to tell a story that no one's really interested in at this point. But Dominic and Rey Mysterio are going to Friday nights. So then in the final pick of that round rather, Raw draft The Miz and John Morrison, which I'm quite interested about. There were rumors that this tag team was going to be split up and John Morrison was going to go to Raw and The Miz was going to stay on SmackDown. But the more you think about it, it makes sense. It makes total sense for The Miz to go to the USA Network. He's got... they've got Miz and Mrs. is going to be returning soon, and Miz also hosts Cannonball. Both those shows are on USA Network. The Miz has a strong relationship with USA Network, so it makes sense for him to be wrestling on that brand too, considering that's what he's most well known for. So that makes a lot of sense. So I'm not surprised to see the Miz back on Monday Night Raw on USA Network. Then we had the final round on SmackDown, which was round 4, whereby Raw drafted the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Before you ask, no idea. No idea how the SmackDown Tag Team Champions are going to work on Monday Night Raw unless they decide to merge the tag team divisions together and unify the bouts, which is what I'm really hoping they do, because the tag team division in WWE across all 3 brands, across Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, is totally dead. I mean totally dead. There is no point. You might as well treat it the same as the Women's Tag Team Championships, and if you're the tag team champions, you can appear on all 3 brands. That would allow the New Day to stay together, wouldn't it? Just a thought. But then following this, SmackDown then drafted Big E. So the New Day, for the time being, are separated. Now, I saw people on social media were in absolute uproar because of this. How dare they split up the New Day? I don't have a problem with it. I really don't have a problem with it. And I know I'm probably in the minority there, but I don't have a problem with it because the same people that were complaining about the New Day splitting up are the same people that are always tweeting Big E needs to be in the main event. Big E needs to be a single star in the main event. And yes, to be in the main event, he doesn't have to be split up from the New Day. But I think WWE are protecting themselves from themselves in this case. If you have the New Day on the same brand, it's easy for them to be involved and then be in tag team matches and something for Big E to fall back into. With Big E on his own, it's him totally focused on his singles career and totally focused on the main event. I think it's the right call. I do think the New Day needs freshening up, even though they have been absent for a while. The idea that people will say, well, they can be on the same brand and Big E can be in the main event is absolutely true. But just look how they started this Big E run. They started this Big E run as a single star by having Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods on the sidelines. Of course, Xavier Woods legitimately on the sidelines of an injury, but Kofi Kingston wasn't banged up or anything like that. He just had some time off. And why did he have some time off? Well, obviously to heal up some old wounds and spend some time with his family, but also because WWE wanted to put all the focus and attention on Big E's singles career, and they're doing the same thing here. So I don't have a problem with it. Raw then drafted Dana Brooks, as she stays on Monday Night Raw, even though she's just been traded. Why was she even in the draft? I have no idea. SmackDown then drafted only Otis out of Heavy Machinery. We'll touch on that in a second. Raw then draft Angel Garza, so he's staying on Monday nights. And then round 5 was announced on WWE Talking Smack on Saturday, with Raw drafting Humberto Carrillo. SmackDown then drafted Murphy from Monday Night Raw. So yes, we now have on SmackDown Seth Rollins, Murphy, Ray, and Dominic Mysterio. So the Rollins, Murphy, and Mysterio soap opera is coming to Friday nights on Fox. Yeah, I know. We just did a preview about Seth Rollins, his segment tonight on Raw. So check out that. That explains all of my feelings when it comes to this storyline. Raw then drafted Tucker from Friday Night SmackDown. So Heavy Machinery joined the New Day as being split up in this WWE 2020 draft. I feel like this is a bit of a death knell for Tucker, and I know that's going to sound terrible, but it's always felt like when it comes to Heavy Machinery that Otis was the star in Vince McMahon's eyes. Otis always was the star in Vince McMahon's eyes when it comes to Heavy Machinery, and if anything, I'm surprised it took WWE this long to split them up. And I know that they're a tag team, and I know that everyone enjoys their work as a tag team, but Otis is being pushed as a single star for 6 months now, and you can say what you will about whether or not he should be Mr. Money in the Bank and whether or not they missed their opportunity with him, which I feel both of them, I feel like they did, and I don't think he should anymore. But Vince McMahon's a massive, massive fan of Otis. By all accounts, the reason Otis still has the Money in the Bank briefcase is because Vince McMahon is a massive fan of his. So it makes total sense to me why they've split them up. I don't really like it because I just don't see what Tucker can do now. I mean, he's just going to be on main event. That's all I can think about. Then we had SmackDown draft Kalisto, so not the entirety of the Lucha House Party. Kalisto only on SmackDown, so the Lucha House Party are free agents. And then Drew Gulak was drafted to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown. No surprise there, considering he's been appearing on Raw anyway. This is the craziness of when you have a show, or you do shows so close to the draft, is that WWE just doesn't care about the brand split rules. So, as I said, Drew Gulak's been on Raw anyway, but now he can officially. He'll just carry on with his 24/7 championship pursuits, I guess, which is such a shame because he's so much better than that. So what do we have in the draft pool for tonight? We have obviously the second night, so the second draft pool. A lot more superstars available than were on Friday's edition of SmackDown, because obviously Raw is 3 hours, so we'll get way more picks in tonight. A few interesting additions to this that I don't think were previously in there, so we'll run through that now, and we'll go through some names. So for tonight's draft pool, we have Andrade, we have SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, we have Aleister Black, we have Alexa Bliss. We also have Daniel Bryan. Of course, Daniel Bryan hasn't been on WWE TV in what? I want to say it was a Performance Center show, so it's been at least a couple of months. He's been off for because of paternity leave. Obviously, Brie Bella gave birth to their second child, and he's been at home looking after them all since then. Obviously, he doesn't want to compete in the pandemic with a newborn child. I don't blame him in the slightest. But given that he's in the draft pool, you could suggest that his return to WWE TV might be soon. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in any draft pool. He'd be on the inactive list with the likes of Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar and others. So the fact he's in this pool suggests to me that he is soon to return. We have Carmella, King Corbin, Apollo Crews, Nikki Cross, Raw Underground's Dabba Kato, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode as a tag team. Elias is curiously in there. Again, this suggests to me that Elias may be soon to return. Elias has been out of action since... It's got to be, June? I believe around June time was when we had the disastrous Jeff Hardy drunken mistaken hit and run accident, which the police never closed that case, by the way. What terrible police work. So the fact that he's involved in the draft pool tonight says that maybe there are plans for him to return soon. He's out of action with a torn pec, though. And given it's so we've got June... Well, we'll count June as 1 month. June, July, August, September, October. He was rumoured to be out for about 6 months, so maybe that's about right. Maybe, I know it's 5 months, 4 months. Maybe he's a bit ahead of schedule, so that could make sense as to why he's been involved in the draft pool there. We've got Eric of the Viking Raiders, obviously in there as a singles, because Ivar is looking to be like he's out of action for over a year, because he's just had neck surgery after his injury he suffered on Raw. Now, Eric also had surgery on an arm injury recently that has been bothering him for a while, but he is going to be returning reasonably soon, obviously sooner than Ivar. We hope Ivar recovers quickly. We've also got Lacey Evans. Charlotte Flair is also included in the draft pool. Again, very interesting, would suggest that she is soon to return. She said that she will be back before WrestleMania. She didn't give a time frame as to when. When she went on the shelf because of the previous injuries and other procedures that she was going to have, she said that there was rumors that she was going to be back for SummerSlam. She said that wasn't going to be the case, but she did say before WrestleMania, possibly Survivor Series was said. So again, the fact she's in the draft pool would suggest to me that she is factored in to return sooner, possibly before the end of the year. Jeff Hardy's also in there, Billy Kay, Lana, Keith Lee, Riddick Moss, who is currently dealing with a torn ACL. I don't know if that's going to stop him competing, though. If he's still going to be involved in the Raw Underground segments, who knows? Natalya, Titus O'Neil, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, R-Truth, the entirety of Retribution, which includes their leader, Mustafa Ali, T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack Reckoning, and Retaliation. We got Matt Riddle, the Riot Squad, which is Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, Peyton Royce, Arturo Ruas, obviously from Raw Underground, Sheamus, Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, who of course are no longer the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. You've got the Raw Tag Team Champions though, the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. Considering that we had the SmackDown Tag Team Champions drafted to Raw, I would suspect that the Street Profits may be heading to SmackDown tonight. We'll have to wait and see. We've got Braun Strowman. I think Braun Strowman is going to be the same case as Drew Gulak. Braun Strowman's been on Raw anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Braun Strowman is drafted to Monday nights tonight. Lars Sullivan is also in the draft pool. Now, of course, Lars Sullivan returned to the WWE on Friday Night SmackDown, shocking everyone But what I suppose hasn't shocked people is that once again, Lars Sullivan has had yet another online controversy come up over the weekend about him sending inappropriate and harassing messages to a woman across Instagram in recent months. This isn't a historical thing. This has been happening over recent months, and the screenshots appear to be legitimate. They were first reported by bodyslam.net. We did a video addressing this earlier today, so be sure to check that out on the channel. It will be interesting to see if he is factored in tonight. By all accounts, I believe WrestleVotes, very reputable Twitter account, released a tweet today, and they said that WWE are aware of this, and he doesn't have many friends left in the locker room, or many believers left in the locker room, as he shouldn't. But one leader is a big fan of him, and that's all that really matters. I believe they are referencing Vince McMahon there, so we'll have to wait and see. If that is the case, then maybe Lars Sullivan will be involved tonight anyway, which to me would be an absolute disgrace. We've got Tamina, Akira Tozawa, Zelina Vega, Bray Wyatt, and the Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn. So, I think in terms of championships, I believe most of the championships will stay where they are, apart from Montez Ford, apart from the Street Profits going to SmackDown. I think that will happen. But I think the biggest switch tonight will be that Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss go to Monday Night Raw. There were rumors that Rollins was going to go to SmackDown, and in his place it was going to be Bray Wyatt going to Monday Night Raw. If Bray Wyatt goes to Raw, that means Alexa Bliss does. I'm really excited for that, because I think Bray Wyatt on Monday Night Raw, potentially The Fiend could have a feud with Drew McIntyre, and that's very, very interesting. And maybe The Fiend can get his hands on Randy Orton. Of course, Randy Orton once betrayed Bray Wyatt all those years ago and burned down the what wasn't, it was a Wyatt family compound. It could have been the Firefly Funhouse, or maybe an early version of it. Who knows? There's a lot of stories there to tell. So I'm really excited for that. I think Bray Wyatt would make a fantastic addition to Raw if he's moved over. So hopefully we see that happen. Who knows? But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Night 2 of the WWE Draft? Let me know your thoughts and predictions for Night 2 of the WWE Draft in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys on this channel. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button as well. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. We're about 30 subscribers away, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe. But if you have already subscribed, just know that I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.